Welcome to a Friday Reads, where I talk about what I read, what I'm reading, what I hope to get to next, and, just casual check-in. We're still in this new setup I'm trying because I did reading sprints tonight, so this was already here. If you don't know, I sometimes do reading sprints with my patrons once a month. Everything about my Patreon is always down below if you care. Now, into what I have read. So I'll first talk about 3 books that I'm going to have a vlog. I think the vlog is slated to come out next week based off my reading speed, barring anything. So you'll get to hear my thoughts soon, but I'm not going to talk about it here because there's going to be so many thoughts in that vlog. But I finished Elder Race, which I talked about briefly last week. I finished Across the Greengrass Fields, and I also finished Spindled Splintered by Alex Hierro, which I forgot about when putting that TBR together, but I've read it, rest assured, and I have thoughts. And I also did finish Gates of Europe, and on Jess Owen's channel there is a discussion where we discuss this and Red Famine, and Bree from The Locked Brutition showed up and talked about her time in Ukraine, gave us a lot of knowledge that you might not get from just reading nonfiction, and it was a really good discussion. Really enjoyed having it with them. Wonderful. I felt so lucky to be there and hear someone's firsthand experiences and just get more enrichment into something. And I enjoyed Gates of Europe. I think that so as someone who has to work around jargon a lot to write works for different layers of people with certain background knowledge, I think that this one could have done a better job of contextualizing the names and the places and the dates more often for the reader. I understand that that's really hard. It's a really challenging thing to do, but I think that's why it's not going to be one of my favorite nonfictions, because I do think this was meant to be an entry point nonfiction of this type of historical dense text, but especially once we get so many players in the game, it was just really hard to keep track of, and I say that as someone who's actually normally really good at keeping track of those things. That's one of my strengths as a reader. But I still really think it did what I wanted it to do as a nonfiction in terms of giving me a broad historical view of this region. So those are things that I finished. I don't think I finished anything else because I've been reading some thick things. We'll first talk about Bone Hunters. I'm halfway through this. It's really good. I was a little nervous. So at the start of book 2, there's this infamous chapter. It's chapter 7. It is on audio at one-time speed, 4 hours long. So for me, it's around 2 hours at the speed that I immersion read it, because I don't just listen, I immersion read it. And I get nervous because Erickson's just known for his long chapters. This book is 1,200 pages long, and there's 28 chapters. So you do the math of how long that makes the average chapter. So he's known for that, and sometimes I'm yeah, this makes sense that this idea was a chapter, and other times I'm dude, could have just split into more chapters. It didn't need to be a chapter. And in this case, though, I actually really felt like that needed to be its own chapter. It was spectacular, completely epic. I mean, the length of a novella as a chapter, but I actually do think it made sense. So that was really interesting. The end of part 2, or book 2, is right where I finished, and oh my goodness. Some things have happened. I am concerned. I'm just getting so much payoff of all of the work that I've put in, and I've enjoyed my Malazan experience so far. If you're new here, I have a playlist. I talk spoiler-free about the first 2 books, but then I have spoiler vlog experiences. And I think for this one, I'm just going to do a spoiler chat when I'm done, because I just haven't been in the vlogging headspace, and I thought it was more important to read the book than care about if I wanted to vlog it or not. And so it's just, I've enjoyed the entire thing, but there's a lot of work you put in as a reader for the Malazan experience, at least I do. And I finally feel like I am more comfortable in the world and with the characters, and there's just some payoff that's happening that's really interesting. So I'm really enjoying reading that, and I'm so glad that I've paired that with this novella project, because I get the satisfaction of finishing things with the novella while I've spent most of the majority of my reading time, 2 hours a day, reading Bone Hunters, and I'm only 50% of the way through. So, but it's a lot of pages. I think I read almost 600 pages of that this month, so it's been pretty good. I'm also reading Reign and Ruin, which is not going as well for me, unfortunately. It's not bad. I think I can't put my finger on it. There's just pacing inconsistencies for me. And I don't even want to say that that's because the book is paced incorrectly. It's more of my interest in what's happening on page ebbs and flows so inconsistently. There will be a chapter or 2 where I can't put it down and I'm yes, I'm here for it. Typically, It's when characters are having conversations and interacting with each other. And then the chapters where there's more plot or betrayal or political maneuvering, I'm usually less enthralled. And I also just think that like the world building is not that interesting to me. So the only thing I care about, and I do care about it quite a bit, are the character interactions, but they haven't been happening at the level that I want them to. So I'm having this up and down with it. Honestly, if this wasn't the Patron buddy read, and if I wasn't making a spoiler vlog for that, I might have DNF'd this, not because it's bad, but because it's really been a chore for me to have to pick up and read. Like, when I was planning this month of reading, I thought that Bone Hunters was going to be the thing that I had to make sure that I prioritized. I actually really enjoy reading the 2 or 3 chapters a day that I read of that book. I get really excited about it, and then after 2 or 3 chapters, my brain is spent. I've read, my 80 to 100 pages and I can't do more. And then it's like more work for me to read this fantasy romance than it is for me to read Malazan. Like, that's just how much it's not gripping me. But I will persevere. It's not a bad book. Like, I really want to emphasize, not a bad book. It's just not giving me what I want. It's unfortunate. The other thing I'm in the middle of that I'm really excited about, I actually started this tonight when I was doing reading sprints with my patrons, because I was like, I don't want to read Rain and Ruin. I want to start something new. And I was talking to Stephanie, and we decided that I was going to start Far Sector, which is on my TBR Star Hop, so this needed to be read. And I've had this for a while, and it's my last Jemison. And honestly, I had no idea what this was about, other than it was Green Lantern. And I'm going to put a cover on the screen because my ring lamp is just like best friends with this cover. And so all I knew is that it's Green Lantern, and I like Green Lantern. In terms of DC universe, the ring and like how it's used has always been really interesting to me. It was one of my favorite characters at the Justice League cartoon show. I've liked Green Lantern a long time. And this is Jemison doing a Green Lantern story. And I didn't know it was going to be noir, so when I realized that, I was nervous. Because for those who know me, noir and detective, not my thing. Granted, if there's someone who could convince me that's my thing, it is Jemison. And so far I've been proven right, because the noir style of like the internal monologue of the main character I think works really well in graphic novel. And I think it works really well with Jemison's kind of narrative voice, because you still feel her as an author because of this internal monologue, at least me personally. And I really like this world and its setup and the cultural clashes. These 3 species are fascinating. There's like 3 species on this planet, and they have this history of violence, and it's led for them to choose to be emotionless and what that means. And on this planet that's known peace for 500 years, we have our first murder, and that is what our Green Lantern Joe is trying to solve. And there have been some really like emotional frames, and I'm really liking it. And I don't normally get connected to graphic novels. I haven't read that many, so it's not like I have a huge sample size, but I'm enjoying my experience a lot. I just ended at a very stressful point. I think I've only read the first 3 or 4 volumes, issues, chapters, whatever they're called, because what I have is the complete bind up, but promising experience so far. That's been very exciting. So those are all the things I'm in the middle of, I believe. And then what I want to pick up next, this is why I think I will be done with this novella project fairly soon, and you guys will get my thoughts, because I only have 3 left. I've got 2 very, very short ones, like less than 100 pages each, like 70-some pages, 100 pages. I did try and start this, that's why the bookmark's in here, but I'm not far enough to have any thoughts. I wanted to wait till I was done with Rain and Ruin-ish to get to this, because I think it has, like, not a similar style or anything. It's just, I don't know, I think they're princesses, and I just wanted to, like, not do too many royalty things at once. Still no idea what this is about, but I'm saving this for last, because it intrigues me the most. And then I've got my first Catherine M. Valente, and this is, I think, the last sci-fi, although this might be more, like, societal sci-fi, which this one might be, too. I don't know. I want more sci-fi in my life, though, which basically the minute I finish Rain and Ruin, I'm starting The Blood Trials, which is another book on my TBR Star Hop. But Stephanie's reading this right now, and I have so much FOMO. Like, so much. I need something that grips me. I want a book that makes me want to read a book. And, like, Bone Hunters is close, but it's just, like, so dense. I just really cannot spend more than 2 hours a day reading it. Like, my brain just, like, reaches a wall. I want a book where I want to stay up till 3 a.m. reading it, and I don't know if that's this book, but it's my next attempt. So excited to try this and, give it a try. Other things. So, as I mentioned last week, I got to go to the Ken Liu signing on last Thursday, which was amazing. I have nothing to show you guys. Like, I got my 2 books signed. I can show some pictures of them. They're up on the shelf over here. These two, right here. So I walk to my bookstore and I get there way too early because that's who I am as a person. I sit in like the front row because I'm short and I don't want anyone to sit in front of me. For those who might think I'm tall, rest assured, I am not. I am 5'2". And I was just like, I'm just gonna sit in the front row. And he is so intelligent, and like, just hearing him talk about what he finds cool about language and technology and craft and his intention behind the story versus what the story it became and what it was like to create it in the time in which he created it and its different influences, and just, oh, it was awesome. I miss author signings a lot, especially for authors that like I really like. And because of that, I basically almost started Wall of Storms right away. Like, I got home Thursday night and I was like, I just want to start Wall of Storms because I want to get through the whole thing, because I just want to like see the conclusion of this like thought experiment and thesis that he's put together. And he was just so fun. Like, I can't express, like, I will link down below some interviews that like Hillary at Bookborn have done with Kyle, because like, he is worth listening to. Oh my goodness. Like, I already knew that, right? Having read so many of his like short stories that I would like hearing him talk. But like, man. And so once I finish Bone Hunters, I'm gonna read this because I truly don't think I can read 2 big tomes at the same time, because Bone Hunters I only have 600 pages left in. So chances are I'm probably only start this next week. So I'm probably still gonna be holding this up in next week's Friday Reads, but I have aspirations. Like, yeah. And I pretty much for sure that means Golden Fool. It's not happening this month. For those who have watched my TBR, I don't think that's in the cards. I truly don't. But I think that's like where I'm at. I still haven't picked my next audiobook because I've like kind of been immersion reading Bone Hunters, and I've been doing this thing that where I'm walking to the bus or home, I've actually still been reading it on my phone, which like is a thing I can do. I'm pretty good at like walking and reading at the same time, but I don't love doing that. But it's like kind of how I've been with Bone Hunters. But maybe I will pick up the Gollum and the Ginny audiobook, because a lot of you did mention that you've heard good things and liked it. So that might happen. I don't know. I don't think I have any more novella audiobooks. So that was another thing, is I was listening to 2 of the novellas on audiobook, and that was nice. But I've also just been listening to music lately, and it's been lovely. So, because my walks aren't that long anymore. I now actually only walk like a couple minutes to the bus and then a couple minutes off the bus, and I haven't had that many experiments this week. So that might change come Monday, because Monday I actually do have a big experiment, so maybe come then I'll pick up the Gollum and the Ginny. Who knows? But that's this Friday Reads. It's nothing too much. I've been having a good week. Today was especially exciting because I finally, like, this is, most people probably don't care about this, but I finally ordered the invitations for my wedding, and it's just like such a huge step. I have a color palette. I've done it. I'm like not an artsy person. I'm not a creative person, and like I finally have these things, and it makes everything feel real. And I've been going in a roller coaster trying to get this to work, because it's just, if you've ever planned a big event of any sort, it's just a lot. And this one's supposed to be like a really happy event, and I feel like I'm finally allowed to be happy about it and not so stressed and depressed, because up until a couple weeks ago, wedding planning was not a source of joy for only logistical reasons, you know, just like, can we afford this, etc. So that's where I am today. And like last week, Ken Liu was just like so awesome. So awesome. Also, I saw Thor Love and Thunder, and I appreciate that superhero burnout's real, Marvel burnout's real. All of you people who say that, you are valid. I have been watching superhero camp content my entire life. That's who my dad is. I used to go to a comic store with him in our town, and he would pick up his issues of Superman every week. I was raised off superheroes. I got very excited when superheroes suddenly got a budget. So that was new to me, the budget part, but the superhero camp part, no, that's just like my thing. And some things I hate and some things I like it's not a monolith, correct? And Thor Love and Thunder is just like my level of camp with the best budget. Like, oh my gosh. So basically, I will consume anything Taika Waititi puts together. I need to go through his entire back catalog. I've already like seen some of his stuff. And we already watched What We Do in the Shadows, the movie, like years ago. We really like it. And so we've been starting the Fox TV show, because that's what we have. And it's like good for like watching during dinner because it's like, 20 to 30 minutes sitcom length. So that's like my media update. If you want to leave an emoji, leave a bat for vampires for What We Do in the Shadows. Let me know what you're reading, watching, playing on games, etc. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.